What's wrong with Lamelo Ball right now? The Charlotte Hornets have been among the worst teams in the NBA so far this season, and it would not be wrong to say that Lamelo Ball is the leader of one of the worst teams, as they have more victories than only one team, the Detroit Pistons. The coach of the Hornets was so angry the other day and tore some of the players apart. He said, "We are playing no defense, not one guy well. All we want to be is, let's try to outscore the other team. That doesn't work in the NBA. All we care about is scoring, that's it. If you're going to try to play like that, you better have like 5 All-Stars. Look, maybe this is a good thing because they can rebuild if they get the top overall choice, but even then, it wouldn't matter. This is a very bad sign for LaMelo. If we take a look at NBA history, Chris Paul is such a low-class player, his first beef was with Rajon Rondo. Rondo has gotten in CP3's face and told him, "I've got a ring, you're never going to win one." The statement is true, but Chris Paul is a much better player. The difference is where they were selected. Rondo got picked by a historically great organization with players like Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen by his side. Chris Paul was a New Orleans Hornet who was so bad that they had to move cities. That is such an underrated part of every player's career. Some teams always draft in the lottery, but they can somehow never make progress. Other teams will never spend more than a couple of seasons in a rebuild. If a player like Bradley Beal was drafted to like the Heat, he would be considered among the top 10 NBA players. Instead, he's a wizard and he's already an afterthought at the age of 29, and that could happen to LaMelo. The problem is the owner, Michael Jordan. He gets a pass because he's the best player ever, but it would not be wrong to say that he is one of the worst owners in sports. He should be held responsible for screwing up that franchise and potentially LaMelo's career. Now we are going to show you exactly how he's failed, but part of this is not his fault. Miles Bridges got votes for the most improved player last year. He was Charlotte's leader in points per game before getting potentially a max contract. He was arrested for domestic violence, and they replaced him by re-signing Cody Martin. MJ fired coach James Borrego out of nowhere after he had a winning record, and their coaching search was such a mess that they agreed to hire Kenny Atkinson from the Warriors, but at the last minute, he said, "You know what, never mind." He knew it was a bad situation and that the problems with the organization were dysfunctional. You don't get looks from the best coaches or the best GMs, so it's just a never-ending cycle of crap. So they reappointed Steve Clifford, and as we all can see, he is already going crazy. As we discussed at the start, the Hornets are the worst NBA team on offense and the 25th on defense. But the worst part is how amazing LaMelo Ball is. People doubted him coming into the league, and he won Rookie of the Year. In his first game back from injury this season, all he did was throw that pass straight at Kelly Oubre for a 3. That was a cross-court pass. You could be wondering how many other players could do that, but his career would be ruined by the team that drafted him. Some guys like Chris Paul eventually can make it out to a better team, but he has never won a title. Kemba Walker wasted his prime years there, and by the time he left, it was too late. It's what makes us give a guy like LeBron James even more props. LeBron was drafted to a horrible team, but still ended up with an all-time career. LaMelo isn't that special, just look at his brother Lonzo. Gets drafted to the dysfunctional Lakers, which set him back in terms of shooting or just learning how to win in a good environment. Finally, he gets traded to New Orleans, but they weren't ready to win yet. By the time he enters his prime, it could already be too late with injuries. This is a huge problem for LaMelo, and at a minimum, he is going to waste his first 7 seasons in Charlotte. The way the NBA is set up, the player's original team holds them hostage with money after a 4-year rookie contract. The team that drafted them can offer about $85 million more than any other team. That's because the home team can offer more money in an extra year to their rookie, and that is so much more money. We have never seen a player turn down a max extension ever. I mean, LaMelo could get injured, he could randomly fall off, we don't know, so turning down a max extension is not realistic. He will stay a Hornet for a long time, and by the time that second deal is over, he'll be 27 years old, before he's actually a free agent for the first time. Now, the only way around this is Michael Jordan becoming a great owner. So far, he's been one of the worst. MJ took over in 2010. Since then, they've made the postseason just 2 times and have never won a playoff series. He has screwed up every decent player they've drafted. Look at how Malik Monk magically took off once he left. He's giving out stupid big contracts like giving Nicholas Batum 5 years, $120 million. But MJ's never paid the luxury tax. They're the only team to never pay it. Their highest draft pick was at number 2 in the 2012 draft. They could have had players like Bradley Beal or Damian Lillard, but MJ took Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Other MJ draft decisions include taking Kemba over Kawhi, Cody Zeller over Giannis, Noah Vonleh over Zach LaVine, Frank Kaminsky over Devin Booker, Malik Monk over Donovan Mitchell. Now some of that you could just call bad luck, like not getting Giannis. I get that, but many bad picks is a clear pattern of dysfunction. The Hornets should have known that MJ was going to be a train wreck after he ruined a different franchise. Everybody remembers Jordan finishing his playing days with the Wizards, but they forget how he got there. Jordan became a part owner in 2000, and they let him run the front office. His first decision was to draft Kwame Brown #1 overall, over Paul Gasol. When that didn't work, Jordan figured that he's going to take matters into his own hands and unretired. He then traded a young Rip Hamilton for veterans, which screwed up their future so bad that they finished in 10th place in 2003. For some reason, the best player can never recognize the talent of others. That is why he needs to let go of control of what happens next. Because the Hornets are about to enter a crucial year, if Lamelo is ever going to be successful at the trade deadline, this year they are so bad that most of their players will be on the trade block. Players like Mason Plumlee, Kelly Oubre, PJ Washington are on expiring contracts. This should bring back draft picks, but the Lakers reportedly have interest in Terry Rozier. They should do anything to get at least one of LA's draft picks, because if they're lucky enough to get Victor Wembanyama, that Laker pick will be key to surrounding him and Lamelo with talent. The worst place for a team to be is in the middle, and if they don't trade pieces now, what if they ruin their chances for the #1 pick by actually winning games this year? But if they tear it down for draft picks, there could be some hope. MJ just needs to let someone else do their drafting if the Lamelo's team will ever have a future. Speaking of trades, we are less than 60 days from the NBA trade cutoff date this year, which is early February. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon in our next video. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.